This is Tom and Paula Grace from Light of Christ Radio with a story from our series entitled God Breaks In. As we consider the first year of Jesus' ministry, we begin to understand how God breaks into our lives.
You're welcome to watch this video simply for the story, or you can use it as the basis of a small group study. The small group study instructions are below the video in the More section. Today's story is Jesus healing by a pool from John chapter 5, verses 1 through 17.
Well, Paula, as we begin our conversation today, let's look at the context of our story.
So Jesus is in his first year of ministry, and most of this has been spent in the northern province of Galilee.
Yeah, and his hometown of Nazareth rejected him, but Jesus continued to preach and heal in the area, and many came for healing.
And at this point, Jesus has called the 4 fishermen to be part of his disciples.
And as Jesus healed, he began to reveal his true identity. He forgave the sins of a paralytic before healing him.
Well, this enraged the Pharisees and scribes who were watching because they thought it was blasphemous.
Then Jesus went south to Jerusalem to celebrate a feast. We don't know which one. Devout Jewish men would travel to the temple in Jerusalem to celebrate Passover, Pentecost, and the Feast of Tabernacles.
Which brings us to a story from the Word of God.
Soon another feast came around, and Jesus was back in Jerusalem. Near the sheep gate in Jerusalem, there was a pool, in Hebrew called Bethesda, with 5 alcoves.
Hundreds of sick people, blind, crippled, paralyzed, were in these alcoves. One man had been an invalid there for 38 years, and when Jesus saw him stretched out by the pool, he knew how long he had been there.
He said, "Do you want to get well?"
The sick man answered, "Sir, when the water is stirred, I don't have anybody to put me in the pool. By the time I get there, somebody else is already in."
Jesus said, "Get up, take your bedroll, start walking."
The man was healed on the spot. He picked up his bedroll and walked off. That day happened to be the Sabbath.
The Jews stopped the healed man and said, "It's the Sabbath. You can't carry your bedroll around. It's against the rules."
But he told them, "The man who made me well told me to." He said, "Take your bedroll and start walking." And they asked, "Who gave you the order to take it up and start walking?" But the healed man did not know, for Jesus had slipped away into the crowd.
A little later, Jesus found him in the temple and said, "You look wonderful. You're well. Don't return to a sinning life, or something worse might happen."
The man went back and told the Jews that it was Jesus who had made him well. That is why the Jews were out to get Jesus, because he did this kind of thing on the Sabbath.
But Jesus defended himself. "My Father is working straight through, even on the Sabbath. So am I."
And this is our story from the Word of God.
If you're using this video for a small group application, after watching this video, try retelling the story from what you have heard.
Then read the text. Discussion questions are below the video in the More section.
We hope you'll discover something from this story to apply to your everyday life.
May you be blessed.